after this, and we can dive into that or so. Something along those lines. Now, we do have on the top right side, our blue Zerg player, Nerchio. In the bottom, left-hand corner, it's Harstem from the Shopify Rebellion. Game number 1 of this best of 3. See what happens here. Let's just have ourselves a little bit of a peaceful opening for now. I don't know if it's just because I've just eaten or what, but I can feel. I feel like I can feel my voice starting to die a bit now as well. I wonder why I didn't put my last paracetamol. Anyways, like I say, trying to recover from the COVIDs, my friends. Just doing what we can, and yeah, we actually have had a few fun games in this qualifier so far. Hopefully, we have a nice little PvZ here as well. Let's see. Also, this probe just chilling here, obviously trying to do the best I can. Mostly wants to try and disrupt those workers as best as possible. Stargate going to be the opening from Harstem. We've seen this a lot lately. PvZ is in that kind of phase again where I feel like we're kind of back to having the first 4 or 5 minutes of PvZ being very scripted again, you know? Just very scripted. Very much so just a case of, oh yeah, just moving through into, like, triple oracle and just takes a little while to set up and stuff like that. So yeah, Adept is, popping out here soon. But yeah, just like I said, just kind of means a bit of a passive opening. We do get the Adepts, of course, and that's always something to watch out for. See if the Adepts sneak in to try and get some damage done. Just gonna see the Oracle of Harstem begins to move out across to the upper right-hand side. So away we go with this. Try and find some damage. Got a couple of Queens moving forward. Group spread is pushing out. And our Overlords continuing to produce as well at the moment as our Oracle heads into the main. Hit by a Spore pretty quickly. Just going to get around for a drone at least, and we'll go for 2, but the Spore Crawler build saves the second drone. That first Oracle on its own accord only gets 1 worker and pretty low HP as well, so not an ideal start. Definitely pretty nice for Nerchio here. Oracle gets through, picks up a Ling, and get a drone. So Oracle number 2 does, again, okay, but, I mean, the biggest issue is it's just leaving on a low HP. Low HP means you just can't stick around as much when the triple Oracle is together, and it just means there's just so much less potential overall for these Oracles, which does kind of take the power out of having, you know, of making 3 of them in total, right? So, a little bit sad to see that as we continue on through. That was the triple Oracle combo. Trying for a Queen right there, doesn't quite grab it. The Queen's going to get back across, pushing those Oracles away. Twilight Council is going to be finishing very soon, and the Forge is on the way up as well. It's just getting those that typical combo of structures up and online, right? Getting that up and rolling. Again, the Oracle's coming around the top side. There's going to be a 4th hatchery here. Don't think they could really justify trying to cancel that or anything. But yeah, let's see if they can do anything on this mineral line. This will be their next target, or are they actually just going to go to the main? Oh, maybe a stasis in the main, and then these two hit over here. I kind of like the idea, but the Spore is very well positioned to deny that Oracle into the main. Yeah, he's going to start stasing as well. Harstem just had that chip queued. He does get 5 workers, and he's got these Stalkers over here that get a Queen as well, looking for the cancel on the 4th. This is a tough little timing to hold because the Oracles protect you against Lings that kind of go for this defense. Although now the Oracles are kind of low on energy, so the Stalkers just have to recall out of there. Such an annoying push. This first round of Stalkers don't have Blink or anything, but just so tough to be in a good position to defend the 4th base at that point. And that's just becoming a real staple of this matchup, that kind of 5:30. Few Stalkers, get rid of that 4th base and just slow that the hell down. Stalkers down the bottom, pushing the Lings away. Ling's going to skate back up the top side. The few Stalkers still moving out down the bottom. You have Temple Archives, Robo Facility, all coming up here. The melee upgrade is building as well, and the Hydra's down, coming up behind the natural, so that's about halfway done now too. Just got extra Lings. Continue to pour out. It's been pure Lings so far. We are eventually going to end up going into Hydras. And Blink's about to finish. These Stalkers are going to be a bit better right here as they look for a secondary cancel on this 4th base. Already had it once, looking for number 2. Lings will stop the 4th base coming up from the Protoss, and we do not have much defense over on the 3rd either. Well, we can warp in Zelds at least, and with a battery that should buy quite a lot of time. These Stalkers will just sit here, and this base didn't cancel, so that's a kill. 300 minerals gone, and yeah, again, defense over here from Harstem was good, so he's going to be able to stop blinking out. Now these Lings are going to turn their attention to trying to clean up these Stalkers. Oracles will activate immediately. Stalkers don't have a blink out of there just yet. They want to blink into that corner to try and get out of trouble. Queen's slowly approaching so they can start pushing the Oracles out, but I think this might be every single Stalker dying. They blink back one more time. Oracle's starting to run out of energy here. Every Stalker will go down, but it was expensive. It did cost you a lot of Lings as Nerchio. When you look at resources lost, it's actually kind of even. So even though that seems horrible for Harstem, he does trade okay overall. It's obviously a lot more gas from Harstem with those Stalkers going down. And Stalker's not something you like rebuilding because of that gas cost as well, but in this case, it might just be something you have to buckle up and deal with, of course. Denying the 4th base at least is going to keep Nerchio's economy itself from being too overwhelming. Even if his own 4th did get slowed down, at least Harstem hadn't invested much into that initially. Prism on the bottom right. It's just going to lift up a few Zealots, and they're going to escape away. The 2 Oracles on the top side from Harstem setting up as well as a couple of Spine Crawlers are going to come down. Spine Spores going to come down straight away. Those 3 extra drones are getting established. Just having probies moving back down to the south to the 6 o'clock. Got Lings and Hydras from Nerchio figuring out just where they want to go. Archon's moving into the middle as Harstem's larger attack is setting up. Prism kind of camped out at the moment. The Oracle's still on the top. This base over here, well, it does have Hydras nearby. It's what's going to protect these Hydras. The Lings that are showing up. The Prism kind of drops some Zealots onto the Hydras, which actually does help a lot. It forced them to run back and reposition a little bit, which gave the Archons a bit more of a chance to just get through and deal damage. The problem is, without the Zealots to protect... I mean, it's kind of funny because, like, without the Lings to protect the Hydras, or the Zealots to protect the Archons, neither of these units usually do great, but it's just too many Hydras. They deal damage a little bit better than the Archons do, and just able to get into position to fight a bit more easily, especially when they're on creep. That's the main issue for those Archons. Trying to get in reach of those Hydras is difficult, as this attack up here not working out, and Harstem has to recall away, loses the Archon before it recalls, however. A lot more of those Archons coming up. He spends that gas bank. Nerchio has quite a bit of gas banked up himself. Infestation Pit is coming online, the +1 missile upgrade coming through, and a few additional Zealots warping in now from Harstem. Gonna see everything gathering up on that bottom left. Trying to knock down a set of rocks over here. Ling, Bane Hydra, ready to potentially move through. Next round as Zealots warping in, just gonna start going in for this. Just gonna have that Archon coming through. Those Bane lanes going to get picked away at. So a lot of Bane's taking damage. Here comes the Zealot Archon up this right-hand side. Now, Ling's actually getting quite a few probes. And the Zealots, I imagine, are going to get quite a lot done as well. These Archons have just been left behind. And they're actually useful because they will clean up the Lings and stuff very quickly and allow the Zealots to continue their crusade elsewhere. The stasis was massive on those Banelings, huh? Double stasis even, so that's really cool as man. The Zealots are really still just doing so much. I say the Archon's kind of left behind, a little unfortunate just because they would have had so much more strength still together with everything else. Those Banes are going to come free in a moment, and these Banes over here actually crashing into a lot of Zealots. Over here they decided mostly just back away. Yeah, tail end almost looked scary for Harstem with those Banes suddenly come in from two directions at once, but not too much of an issue, all said and done. This little group behind us is going to move forward, and Archon, a lot of trouble, going to get knocked down. Stasis Sword goes off, feelings get caught, another Archon being caught as well. That's going to charge on through, the couple of Oracles being picked away at in the Nexus. Continuing to take a bit of a beating. Archons and Immortals and Zealots all pushing through here, chasing those Hydras away, pushing them back out through the center. Going to start morphing in 13 more Bane lanes, 30 more Zerg lanes. 2 High Templar will be finishing and morphing into an Archon right now as well, as this army of Nerchio sets up the lanes, Hydras and the Bane. Gonna move down the bottom, gonna start picking our way through that pylon. So pylon taking some shots. Observer gets taken down, just gonna be seeing everything pulling back to the northern side. Our Zealots caught there straight away, and well, tell you what, Nerchio has a great creep through the center. Harstem could really do with, I believe he just lost an Observer, right? Yeah, he could really do with an Obs just to help him push some of this creep back. Make Nerchio's life a bit tougher. Nerchio has done what he was never able to do against Geralt on this map, which is get to a 5th base. Still on the previous series, and that was a really cool game. It just feels like Harstem, so many Archons, just can't get in reach of these Hydras. I wonder at what point is it just worth adding in Storm, no? Like, you know, you've already got the Templar Archives, we're flowing some cash right now. Just start Storm, get a few High Templar out. Because all of this army from Nerchio does not have a good time against Storm. And that's the one thing I think Harstem could do. Just make life a bit easy for you, because then Hydras fine at range can't just sit there and kite the Archons. They're going to be forced to split or kite backwards just out of range completely. That's what the Storm provides for you. I understand you're maybe under a lot of pressure right now. It feels like you can't get there, but I feel like there has actually been openings where maybe you could have gotten to Storm. Right now, you're going to have a ton of Banes rolling your way. I don't disagree, maybe right now isn't the time to go for it, but I think there's been enough time and opportunity to probably get there. We've been playing against Ling Bane Hydra for a long time already. Let's see, this force field once again between the Nexus and that topside geyser is extremely important. Keeping a lot of the Zealots back until the Banelings are gone. Super Battery depowered, so cannot heal up the Nexus here as the Banes have been crashing in for all sorts of damage. Harstem taking a lot of losses there. There was so many Banelings. Extremely expensive fight for Nerchio. Resources losses about even. Now we do have a counterattack. Zealots across the map, and the Prism, low HP, is going to get on siege and relocating elsewhere. These Zealots try and pull back against the Banes. Doesn't do too well. The Prism died. It went too far forward. Spore helped kill it off. And now we're just going to bring everything else across from Harstem. I don't know if he's got enough, guys. Just clearing out some of this group spread, and Ling Bane Hydra is going to come through, looking to try and get rid of maybe this little Archon force. I mean, at this point, Harstem is no 4th base. I would say he's nigh on all in. This army is not going to be very easily replaced. Can he actually clean up enough from Nerchio? The problem is now it looks like he's going home, so it doesn't really feel like he should be able to, but Nerchio's chasing him down. I think in most parts wanted to kind of stop this top army joining the bottom army. Now Nerchio, I feel like really should just back away. There's no need to still fight you. This base isn't there. You're on 5 base versus 3. Go home, fight on creep, let him come towards you, but just, and spend the money, right? I mean, Nerchio's got cash to spend. He's just missing lava. That's one of his big issues right now as well, as he's trying to kite back. And I appreciate this being forward so you can kind of kite away and just make use of the space on the map. But obviously when he was pushing up this ramp just then, that really wasn't something that he needed to be doing. His Banes to finish, they'll crash on in for a bit of splash. Not a bad place to fight for Nerchio. At least he does have the creep to help him. And that's obviously where his Banes were finishing morphing. They have another round of Banes here to do something similar. Crashing on in, a couple of Archons going down. Just not enough Archons, not enough damage on the Hydras. These units are like glass cannons. They die quick, but if they're not dying, they're going to shred everything. That's one Immortal going down too, and Harstem types GG, like I said. He's kind of all in that position. And if you can't win the game with that army, you won't win the game. Nerchio gets 1-0 lead. Or you guys just say Nerchio is back because he won the game. Alright, Nerchio's actually like pretty good right now. Awesome. I don't feel like Harstem, the way he's been playing lately, should be dropping games to Nerchio, but Nerchio played well. I really feel like Harstem just didn't. I don't understand why he didn't get into the into Storm. I really feel like at some point Storm is just the answer to that army, no? And if he really feels like he's under pressure the entire game, I think that's probably the excuse, right? It's like, when do you go into Storm? At some point, do you tell yourself, oh, I should have gone Storm, but it's too late now? I think that's probably my expectation of it, or why it didn't happen, right? So yeah, I would imagine so. I think Storm just makes that game so much easier. It is crazy at points as well, and you're like, well, you gotta keep the Templar alive, but it would stop so much of the craziness because you wouldn't be able to just kind of run in with the Lingbane Hydra as much, and especially in some of the, I think one of the things was as well, Harstem was doing a lot of splitting of his units early, and there was just a lot of Hydras that were just dealing with like 2 or 3 Archons, and that was a lot of efficiency for Nerchio. Really took a lot of the wind out of the sails from Harstem, and probably was part of what made him a bit worried about what was going on, and part of why he started playing the way he was. So there we go. We're going to finish up at the front as we do have an Adept. Just going to start chrono boosting out for the moment. And once again, that Stargate setup, something we'll sit through and see where it takes us over this next little while. Probe on the way out from Harstem. Just going to see a couple of those lings starting to make their way onto the map. This probe going to loop back around this side. There's the Hatcher going down on the low ground as well, so a little bit of all that getting up and running there, just to get things underway to begin with. Probe is going to go running back over the left side, though. First Adept's not gonna find all too much. Single Ling has gone down. Well, I didn't observe very well. Let's follow this first Oracle across the map. Spawn in just a second. I missed it with my pre-box. Unbelievable. Let's start sending this out across to the upper right side, see what it can go and do. See if we can maybe try and find some damage here. Get in. You're gonna find 1, 2 drones. Gonna make it 3. Already a great Oracle, better than any of the Oracles in that last game. We talked a lot about Oracles being low HP, only 1 drone and a Ling or so. So already, very first Oracle is gonna do pretty well. Tell you what though, that is a very fast Rotor in here from Nerchio. He's building up a round of drones, replacing what he just lost. Is this a Rotor that's gonna just build it? I mean, he's got 200 gas to build Roaches with. He just builds like, I mean, he's still building drones, so he's not gonna have the minerals. It's almost running. If he just built like a ton of Roaches and just walked across the map, it almost reminds me of Scala Harstem Game 5 in Valencia, where Scala kind of just made like a bunch of Roaches, walked across the map, and Harstem didn't see them and he died. I feel like this could have happened here as well. Especially, you know, Nerchio's got this forward base, Harstem's trying to take that forward base. Like, Nerchio had the gas. They had the setup to make, I guess didn't have the overlords to make a lot of Roaches. This one air weapons coming through on the cyber core, gonna cancel that. If anything, that seems to be just a fake, because obviously Twilight and the Forge is coming through. So, I'm just looking to try and fake out Nerchio for a moment or so. Yeah, what's up, Good Cassidy 24? Thank you so much for the 9-month resub on the prizes. Thanks for keeping SC2 alive. No worries, thank you so much for the Kenwoods. I don't think I've been doing that much to keep it alive lately, but I appreciate the thoughts. As now we're going to see that gas and Nerchio will kind of being put to use. He still has so much of it to spend. I guess he can start up a couple of Ravagers if you would like to with these Roaches. So far, it's just 7 drones going down. It just doesn't feel like Nerchio is truly handling this very well at all for now, as these couple wings do help to get one more adept kill. Triple Oracle didn't have to activate their energy in that fight, which means chasing across the map right now as Nerchio is not going to go very well for you, because these Oracles can just fly in overhead and basically clean out this Ling Roach force. So yeah, they just have to turn back home. That makes perfect sense. Let's drop a Revelation here, try and keep track of what is around. Nerchio will take a 4th. And will now start up his lab production, getting that tech online as a Dark Shrine, Blink, and +1 all coming through on the side of Harstem. I wonder when the last time Harstem dropped a map to Nerchio was. What year is it? The question in the chat is just made me think of that. I'm actually going to look it up. Results search. Harstem. Oh, the lean forward to type Nerchio in. Oracle's going to grab a queen, by the way, so continue to do well there. Oh, actually, Nerchio beat Harstem 2-0 the last time they played, which is in the 2019 WCS Group Stage 2. That was the last time they played. Before that, Harstem won 3-2, 2-1 in the WardiTV European League. Wow, wow, wow. So yeah, basically, they haven't played for 3 years in an official matchup. And Nerchio picks up where he left off with that map win. Stalker's about to have that blink. There's no kind of push to try and get the 4th base of this game. As you can see, that Overlord not in trouble either. Blink now done though, makes it kind of difficult for these Roaches and Lings to really do much here. The Oracles were just sat there saying if the Lings keep running forward, then we will deal with them, but that's pretty much all we're looking to do. Not going to go too close to any Queens or anything. We get rid of a Creep Tumor at the front. We're going to try and spread a couple more down. Again, Roaches, multiple missiles, Roach speed, all of that continuing to produce gives us that power on the Roaches. I mean, if we get there, what can Nerchio do with these Roaches? That's getting Harstem. It's going to start going Storm, maybe assuming the Ling Bane behind this, but right now it is just Roaches, and I feel like Storm against just Roaches is not ideal. Okay, there's actually Hydras behind this. Storm against Roach Hydra. I mean, again, Storm against Hydras is great. I guess we'll see in a moment how it goes as our Stalkers come down the bottom. Just going to see our Oracle setting up some Stasis Wards. I love that. I do feel like the Stasis Traps can just be a great way just to kind of make the Zerg unsure, make them uncertain about a chase, and if they do believe they've got a chase, then boom, you can actually just say, boom, I've got a Stasis Trap on you, and just go from there. There's Roaches and Lings moving up the ramp. There's going to be a Stasis that catches a few of them. There's network on the way from Nerchio. Well, I'll tell you what, if you get a Nidus into like the corner over here or something, that could be amazing, but Harstem's vision is good. He sees everything, so Nidus shouldn't be too successful. Well, it's one of those armies where if Nerchio's army can get like up and in range and not be kited by Harstem, then there is potential, and he is moving around a weird angle of the map to try and make it happen. So obviously it really has no chance of getting the Nidus off, so we're just going to Nidus down here and reinforce into the bottom left, and make an attempt for Harstem's 4th base. Nerchio's army composition here is not designed to play a very late game in, right? So, to play a very late game with. So, he's very much so setting up to try and do what he can right now. Here come the High Templar. Here come these Storms. First split was pretty good from Nerchio, mind you. Second Storm comes down, just hitting a few Roaches. Same again, softening them up for the Immortals to get the work done. The army from Nerchio on the top right side was already dismantled. As Harstem loses 11 probes, I don't feel like he's going to have much more issue than that. I feel like the rest of this army is going to die pretty accidentally. I just don't think this is going to be a problem at all. As Stalker's blinking, guarantee the Roaches on the bottom left. I actually wouldn't have minded if he just continued to focus on the right side. Feels like these Roaches on the left would have died eventually anyway. Now these Stalkers maybe not doing as much as they could on the right, where the reinforcements are coming from. I guess you want to maybe get rid of the Concave that could have been set up with his Roaches coming back in. Attempt to get some Storms available again. We will get rid of a couple final units. We get rid of the Nidus. This attack from Nerchio did not do enough, and he's floating minerals. He needs to find a way to spend some of those, otherwise he will have some continued trouble in this game. We've seen our forces, excuse me, pressing forward a little bit. Coming up to the center is our army here from Nerchio. Move around up to the top. Coming in, one adept goes down, second adept chased and killed. Yeah, the knight is up over here. It's going to get shut down immediately to Harstem on top of that game. And with an army supply lead against Roach Hydra, he's got to be feeling pretty good. I mean, you see this force again with the Storm just to soften up the units, really. I mean, it softens up the Roaches, it shreds Hydras, of course. That's why I was calling for it in that last game, because, you know, shredding Hydras was something he kind of could have done with. I mean, he's maxed out, he's doing the right thing. He's pushing, because maxed out Protoss army right now beats the maxed out Zerg army, typically, so... Splits a few Zealots off to counterattack, try and split the Zerg army up, just going to cause chaos, cause disruption. And as he causes that disruption, it's going to be seeing Harstem pressing forward here. There's one Storm going towards a few Hydras already, and going to continue to send these Zealots up towards that Hydra Roach force as well. Continue to chase in here, those Zealots want to get those Hydras, get another Storm off. Hydra's taking further damage. Feelings don't do so hard, is just going to be coming on in. One more Storm going down, still pulling backwards. Roaches, Hydras getting out of there. It's going to see 9 drones going down as the Zealots in the main base do a lot of picking off. Carrier production starts from Harstem. Feeling comfortable? Adds on extra Stargates. One of those ways where if Nerchio's never going to tech out a Roach Hydra, carriers kind of do just steal the victory, right? Roach Hydra is not going to beat a carrier-based army. I don't think it really beats the current army. So as long as Harstem keeps up the pressure that Nerchio isn't teching out of this, and what techs do you really have out of Roach Hydra? Well, Lurkers is one of them, and we do see a Lurker Den coming down, but then obviously Lurkers don't help at all against carriers. I mean, you basically have to go into Corruptors, which you're not really set to do at all. So yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. I mean, Harstem's going to keep on pressing forwards here. There's that counterattack on the bottom left. We'll check in on that in a sec. It's kind of stuck in a stasis. I was going to say, it didn't look like it was doing much. This attack from Harstem is definitely still being scary. And a lot of the reproduction right now from Nerchio is just purely Roaches, which against this amount of Immortals. And don't forget, these High Templar can just become Archons as well if you want a little bit of extra tankiness and just a little bit of extra just, you know, consistent splash damage without having to Storm. There's a lot of Archons that can be made out of these High Templar. And the army actually came back from the bottom left. It's going to be shut down pretty easily. The Prism doesn't fall, and GG's from Nerchio. Harstem plays a very comfortable game number 2 to tie this up. And that is going to be 1-1 in this best of 3. On the top right of Tropical Sacrifice, the Blue Zerg is Nerchio. The bottom left, alright. Protoss player from the Shopify Rebellion is Harstem. Let's see what we get. One last game. When Wardia says Nerchio, I hear Nerchio. Nerchio. Hey, I hear it. I guess I don't really say Chio, right? I say like Cho. Which so like Cho, I can hear it. Nerchio. Maybe it's because I'm also saying like Nerchio. Maybe I should be like Nerchio. You know when you say things too much and it starts sounding weird? That's what I'm having right now. I'm like Nerchio. I'm getting high on the Nerchio sound. drink tea and hope I feel better soon. Hopefully. I drank a lot of tea. I actually had to stop drinking tea because it's making me too hot. It's getting me, like every time I drank it, I'd start sweating. It's also just been hot here in general. Feelings, couple queens coming up right now as we get going on Tropical Sacrifice, game number 3 again of this series. And well, I feel like Harstem made that storm adjustment that game, and again I feel like that game was maybe the game where actually Archons might have just gotten it done, but I do feel like again Storm was the one thing on my mind in that earlier game. That was a game Roach Hydra, you know, when we playing against Roach Hydra, where actually Disrupt is obviously kind of king, because Hydras and Roaches both kind of just suck at splitting against Disruptors. They're all kind of clunky / slow units, so yeah, Disruptors usually do great in that scenario, but just didn't realize, I think it was quite Roach Hydra for a while, but it didn't really matter. It worked out anyways. Just something for us to discuss in the early few minutes at least. Link Suite is coming on through as our Adept. Make it 2 of Harstem will join together, and let's see if this daring duo might find some damage in amongst the base here. Shading up towards that natural, not going to see anything at all just yet. We do see a Queen injecting down on the natural, and the Oracle popping on the Stargate in a few moments as well. Warp Gate is just past that halfway marker, and just the extra gateway coming up at the front too, so as that Adept pops out, everything's going to start walling off, and it's going to be seeing our Oracle of Harstem making its way across to the upper right-hand side. So away we go for a big push into the base. What can it find? 2 Queens, and it's going to do nothing. It's been a real kind of variety of Oracles in this series, right? We had the first game, it was like a drone kill and no HP left. Second game is like 5 drones and a reasonable amount of HP left, and this one's like nothing on either side, right? No drones, no no HP taken away, right? It's the most passive Oracle situation we've had out of all of them so far. Dropping double assimilator down in the natural. I'm just going to see the 2 Oracles of Harstem continuing up the right-hand side. A couple of Queens here will start to go after them, and actually gets 3 drones, so not bad. Does take a fair amount of damage on one, but at least you get the triple drone kill. Melee upgrade for Nerchio, switching that up a little bit, getting into those melee upgrades early and working from there. Blink is already starting as well from Harstem as he gets his Forge on the way. And it's a little bit different because it's only 2 Oracles, guys, so never had that 3rd Oracle this game, which just means that Blink's a little sooner. Again, against a melee upgrade, you might actually be kind of regretting a little bit not having Oracle number 3, but well, I don't think it's like the end of the world or anything, right? Should be somewhat manageable still. There's a couple Oracles gonna come out through the center, over the right side. Stalkers are going to grab themselves the Overlord kill. Alright, Queen already taking a little bit of damage as we drop a couple Revelations down. A couple Crew Teamers already taking some shots, and a couple Lings being chased away as well. Stalkers will go for and not get the Overlords. They have to recall out of here. We lose 1 during the recall. Obviously didn't get close to trying to cancel that 4th base. A good quick response from Nerchio. Also a lot of Lings though. I mean, he's down on workers during this, especially as these Adepts come through and get some kills, so that's the issue. It's like, yeah, you defend, you don't lose a 4th or anything, but man, you know, it's still expensive, right? Like, you're still kind of in a sucky economy position compared to where you would usually like to be. And Macro Hatchery Star. The 2 Oracles lurking on the left. The Overlords do see those as we just collect some Lings out the front. 4th base location. Currently being camped out by a few Zerglings here. I'm just going to see a couple of Oracles making their way toward the natural. Just going to pull it back up towards the main. Drop a little revelation down. And then back down to the low ground again, just moving around here, there, and everywhere. 8 gateways in production, make it 9. Jeez, it's a lot of gates coming online at the moment. A lot of production coming through. Trying to make use of those upgrades, finishing of course, +1 not far away. The first Twilight upgrade finishing this game as well means that Harstem can be setting up for some of his first attacks now. I'm going to get caught in a revelation over here. Oracles just back around to the upper right. These things are going to come charging through. Looking for a wraparound on the Zealot Stalker Force. And that Zealot Stalker Force is not actually looking to be in too pretty a position. Archon's coming down to try and fight, and yeah, those Lings actually did pretty well, I would say. Oracle's coming back, but way too late to really join in on the fight. How many Lings do you end up losing out in that scenario, though? It's still equal resources lost. We had this discussion earlier. It's like, well, it's only minerals versus some gas. It's actually only 4 stalks and a sentry lost so far, though, so not that much gas even, as we are moving into that storm again. That's been a priority in game 2 and 3 here so far for Harstem. As the Lings wrap around looking for this Archon, I don't think that's going to be in range of the battery at all. Even if they did finish up or anything. And that's just going to be an Archon going down, and now looking for cancel this 4th base. This is where these Oracles absolutely need to be putting some work in, right? Dealing with these Lings, cutting down on their numbers. This is where Storm's going to help a lot too, just soften up these units as they run into position. And then it's going to be so much more difficult for these Lings to get anything done, because they're going to be low HP. They're going to get cleaned up a lot more quickly. Obviously, then you have a very good time from there. So let's go running around the left, the Hydras as well, setting up over here. Just going to see Zealots, Stalkers, and Archons. Team up an attempt to make a move, going to start cutting up through the middle of the map, and you have Ling Hydra coming all the way to the top, moving some Banes. Harstem is apparently going to try and fight. He wants to try and catch these Hydras off guard because they're kind of on their own, and you know what? I actually feel like this is a fight he could have continued to take, but the Banes are scary, and he does have to pull back away from those, get back to his High Templar. But he's going to have a few more Storms available. He's just going to drop them off in the Archons. He has one High Templar there that didn't really cast its Storm at all. I think Harstem might be in some trouble, guys. There's a lot of Hydras left over. Honestly, initially it looked really good for Harstem. The Banes there was like, there's like, well, he's got his Storms, but I don't know if the Storms are enough. It's a lot of Zealots, but all the High Templar / Archons have gone. So it's really just Zealots. All your tech units disappeared. Now he's got a ton of gas to spend. That's one thing he's just going to have to start doing, is the Banelane speed is going to begin to get that going. High Templars continue to warp in. A couple of Zealots coming through. A couple extra Archons continuing to finish up as the Stasis Ward will come up on the high ground. Again, Ling, Bane, Hydra continue to press forward. So you're going to grab a Zealot. Look to break through those rocks, get up that ramp. Ling, Bane, Hydra pulling back away up the upper right-hand side. You have some extra Zealots just coming through into the main base. These are the counterattacks Harstem needs to take the attention away from his side of the map and put some pressure on Nerchio, force a reaction out of him. Gonna prism some down to the low ground here. Might be able to even, I was gonna say, maybe go back and grab a few of the other ones after an unload, but defense from Nerchio is pretty good too, pretty quick and efficient. Harstem is floating money. That's gonna be his gas bank spend as those High Templar warp in, but there's still 1,600 minerals to account for. 16 extra Zealots right now would be pretty nice if you can spend it. He doesn't have 16 gates. He adds a few more gates. Stack defenses as well, relies on his mineral issue. Also, I'll start charging after those Banes. The Archons, the Immortals were starting to move forward for that as well. Everything pulling back around. Ling, Bane, Hydra. It's going to come back through. Just going to morph in some extra Banes up atop this high ground, and now starting to push through the center of the map, heading down the bottom left. Knocking down a couple of Zealots, gonna start picking our way through this set of gates. So the Storm should still be very nice. Obviously, against attacks like this that want to move through into you, Storm should be able to keep you very safe. And Harstem's again setting up for those extra Stargates and that potential carrier transition. Believing that that's somewhere he can get to safely. And again, I don't really disagree with the idea of that. I didn't really need it in the previous game, but yeah, I think the idea is good. If you don't see the moment they opening to kill, then yeah, the very strong transition that Nerchio doesn't really have an answer for. So it's going to come find their way through the other side of the map and sort of, I like that, hold position a few of them to make sure they hit the drones. Does get both the spines. Looks like we're going to sit here and clean up those Banes. We did push everything else away. Those elves will go down. Awesome supply dropping. Still has just had that kind of little round of money that he's never been able to really get rid of. There's an extra high temple there as the Ark comes to just eat those Banelings, and that's no problem at all. If Nexus finishes on the low ground. He's gonna finish knocking down a set of rocks and moving forward here. Nerchio will come straight through. A few extra Banelings gonna begin to morph on in. Just gonna be seeing Ling's Hydras coming through. Nexus is gonna be in trouble. Nexus is gonna go straight down. So Nexus will fall. Across the map, it's Drone-Ageddon as well. Only 8 going down, I suppose, which isn't too bad, but there's Zealots everywhere, and we're going to lift a few up into the main base, continue extending the issue elsewhere. Yeah, probably a couple more drones at least, and maybe even the Queen. I just go for the Prism, which moved away in time. Queen did indeed die, and it was 2 more drones that died as well. And it comes back to what you're going to do about these carriers, and I think the reality is not a lot. Carriers are a little bit too good for what Nerchio's army is at the moment, and if he sees 3 of them already up, and worse news is the fact there's 3 more already so close to coming online, he will get a cancel on the 5th. I mean, not a lot of stack defense established there, right? So that is the one thing you can do, deny that 5th base. That's really about it for the moment. Just gonna move forward. I mean, with extra carriers finishing Harstem, I just have a push across the map to kind of end the game with. I'll get back into the prison. Just gonna go and float over the beach. Little Banes over here. We'll get a few more probes. So a few more probies going down. Back over that right side. Nexus still coming through on the 5th base. Bottom right, Feelings is going to get around and pick away at those Zealots as well. It's just taking those out. Battery will be placed in the bottom corner. Just going to be seeing our +2 weapon upgrade coming in. A couple extra Archons morphing. Again, Nerchio's moving in over here. High Templar, he doesn't know where these units are coming from, so he doesn't know where to put the High Templar, but man, the Storms are perfect. They were all over that army, and, well, the Interceptors, a few of them died pretty quick, but I feel like not all of them got out very quickly either, and they're just attack GG. Can't fight this. Harstem's going to win it 2-1. Congratulations and GG's to Harstem. Very well played. GG's.